Hey y'all, welcome back to Roots and Rights, Securing Tomorrow. I'm your host, Attorney Greg Robinson, and I am, as always, excited to dig into another topic that really gets to the heart of keeping your family and your business, well, together. Now, today we're talking about family governance and why, honestly, it matters more than you'd think in business succession. Family governance. What is it? I get that question a lot. In a nutshell, think of it as the family's operating system. It's the formal rules, decision processes, and, more importantly, the expectations that guide how a family interacts with the family business. Legal experts, business advisors, even old heads at the barbershop will tell you, when you've got real structure in place, you're a lot less likely to run into nasty surprises and power struggles. Now let's be real. One of the main reasons conflicts blow up in family businesses is because folks just don't know where the lines are drawn. Sometimes there's an uncle who thinks he's calling the shots, or a cousin working in the warehouse who suddenly wants a say over company policy, even though nobody agreed that's how it works. When you don't have clear governance, when roles, responsibilities, and decision rights are cloudy, you open the door to drama. Overlapping roles get confusing and emotions run high. You know, I'm talking from experience here. I had a case down in southern Alabama. Won't give out their real name. Let's just call them the Jennings family. They ran a third-generation agricultural business. There was no formal council, no family constitution, and let me tell you, when the founder passed, each sibling thought they had the right to step in and steer the ship. One wanted to expand operations, another wanted to sell land, and the youngest, well, he didn't want any part of the business, but didn't want to give up his voting rights either. The lack of governance led to a court battle that, if I remember right, dragged on for nearly 3 years. Brother against brother, cousin against cousin. And all of that, totally avoidable. As we talked about in previous episodes, like when we broke down heirs property and why clear documentation keeps land in the family, this is really just another piece of that same puzzle. Without structure, even the best intentions can end up in court, or at the very least, at each other's throats at Thanksgiving. So, where do you start if you're looking at your own family and thinking, uh-oh, we don't really have that structure? One of the best tools I've seen, both in case law and real life, is the family council. Think of this as your family's boardroom, but with more cornbread and fewer stiff collars. A place where family members come together formally on a regular basis to hash out business policies, talk about the family's vision, and set ground rules for conflict resolution. Best practices on this come straight out of the estate planning playbook. You want to create a council that meets regularly, has a clear agenda, and documents all major decisions. This isn't just a casual Sunday dinner. First, you set up who gets to participate. Is it only active business members, or do you include spouses, next-gen kids, even non-working shareholders? Then, you draft an agenda before every meeting. Gotta avoid rambling, right? And you stick to it. After each meeting, you document action steps and decisions. This might sound overly formal to some folks, but trust me, it saves a whole lot of angry phone calls later. Let me share an example of what this looks like when it's working. There was a family, again, let's keep it anonymous and call them the Wilsons. The Wilsons had a pretty successful business spread across 3 states, and instead of letting geography become a problem, they started hosting annual family retreats. Everyone came together, they'd review financials, talk about future plans, and most importantly, they created a family charter, a written agreement that laid out expectations, conflict protocols, and even succession plans. The charter wasn't just collecting dust either. It was like the family's glue. Each generation had a voice, and they actually enjoyed these meetings. Some years they throw in a golf tournament. I think that's why the grandkids showed up. But hey, whatever works. And I can't stress this enough. Starting these councils and meetings early, before there's tension, is 10 times easier than trying to install structure after the fireworks have already started. Communication, documentation, participation. If you want your business and your family to last, you got to do the work up front. Now, even with councils and charters, you still need the right approach to talking things through. I mean, I could preach about communication all day, because if you don't have transparency and honesty, you don't really have harmony, period. There are some practical tools families can use to keep those tough conversations from turning toxic. One thing that works wonders is having a neutral facilitator. Sometimes that's an attorney, sometimes it's someone way less scary, like a trained mediator. Bringing in a third party is especially useful when emotions are high or when the decisions affect multiple generations with different perspectives. And look, clear information sharing with regular updates about business finances, plans, or even just big milestones keeps everyone in the loop and stops folks from feeling sidelined. I actually borrowed a page from my old Army and consulting days once, working with a family who, let's just say, were more passionate than polite during meetings. We introduced Six Sigma style feedback loops. Okay, it sounds fancy, but basically, after every major decision or meeting, each family member gave feedback on what worked, what didn't, and how they felt about the process, even anonymously if needed. We reviewed that feedback, adjusted the meeting structure, and it helped clear the air on issues that could have easily snowballed into grudges. With a little discipline, those loops made younger family members feel heard and allowed the senior members to see where the communication gaps really were. Bottom line, y'all, open dialogue, early action, and a firm commitment to managing conflict before it grows. That's how you keep the peace and protect both the family and the business legacy. If you want to go deeper, check those prior episodes, especially our deep dives on dispute resolution and family business succession. And if you're worried your family's ship might be veering off course, don't wait until you hit the rocks. Start drafting your charter, schedule that first family meeting, and if you need a hand, you know where to find me. Take care of your roots, and your rights will follow.